Welcome to the Real Estate Power Play Podcast, your launch pad for skyrocketing success in real estate investing. I'm your host, Gabe Rodarte, alongside Mark Monroe. We're ready to bring you transformative stories, groundbreaking strategies, and the insider secrets of real estate giants. Get ready to accelerate your investment journey and become a true power player in the world of real estate. Hey guys, what's up? Gabe with the Real Estate Power Play Podcast. I'm here with my buddy Mark Monroe. We are hanging out here at his back patio. I'm just kind of looking over the beautiful skylines and 65-degree weather. So
it's cold for me.
For him, it's cold. For Houston, this is perfect. One of the things that we wanted to go over, because we've been getting this question a lot, and just really how to go about doing it, we just want to deep dive, or not maybe lightly touch the idea of how to underwrite a property.
Sure.
And that way we could kind of explain a little bit and just kind of our method, what we do, and just kind of go from there.
Yeah, I'll explain what I look for when I underwrite deals, and I'm sure you look at something different when you underwrite deals. Everybody has their own buy box, everybody has their own thing. I'll talk about residential, and you can talk about commercial. So when I underwrite a deal, what I always look at, I'm willing to give a seller exactly pretty close to what they're looking for, as within reason. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if it's a property's worth $400,000 and they want 450, 475, and it's really worth 400, that's no. But I may do like 400,000, because usually, like if it's listed be a market for 400,000 in a retailer in this market, what do you think somebody will come in and offer them? If they're
400, like a.
If it's listed on the market on Zillow or MLS for 400.
Yeah, they're going to come in around what, 370s? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So they're coming in at 370, and they're going to negotiate back and forth. Honestly, in this market, I would probably come in at 350.
Okay.
You know, because the market's.
Yeah, they want to see the person might be soft, might be on the market for a long period of time. They want to see. Okay.
Okay. So I'm willing to give them that 400,000.
Okay.
As long as they're willing to give me terms.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because it's time, value, and money. So because I know eventually that time will come in when I have to refinance it. You need equity in it. Maybe I even will possibly do 405, but usually I won't give much more than that. But if they want 450, there's no way. And I do see a lot of that out there right now. These wholesalers just putting deals together and offering way up, and it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So I'm willing to pay more, but my minimum cash flow is 450 a month. That's my what I look for in my deal.
So basically, what I hear you saying though is that as long as it's cash flowing a certain dollar amount, 450 or more a month, you're willing to pay them their number, or 370 on a 400K home, or 500, or I'm not 500, 400. So you're right in that range.
Yeah, and then the other factor is I want to get in with very little down as possible.
Okay.
Very little, zero to like no money down.
Okay.
But if you do it the right way, and you go ahead and lock it up, and you give yourself a long due diligence period, and you work with the seller, hey, Mr. Seller, there's no rush. You know, at least you know you have a buyer, and then this gives me time to go find whoever I'm going to put into the property. Because I explained what I do. I'm going to go ahead and put possibly a tenant buyer in there, a rent to own, where they eventually become homeowners. So it works really well, because what I'm doing is I'm using my end buyer's capital to buy the property to give to the seller.
Got it.
So I get into these deals with no money down.
Nice.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Now, I have done one deal where I was only cash flowing $48 a month. However, I had $109,000 of equity in it.
Okay.
So that one, because I had so much equity in it, I was willing to just take a lower on it, and that was on a 30-month contract on that particular one. So I had to wait a little bit, but it was a nice payday. Actually, I think you got in that deal. That was that window.
Oh, yeah.
That was that deal.
I remember that.
Yeah, you and Marty jumped into that one.
Yeah.
So that was a nice one. So that was that deal where I was only cash flowing $48 a month on that particular one. Originally, I was cash flowing $800, but what happened was, the lady that owned it she lived in a homestead.
Okay.
She moved out, and then they
The moment they moved it.
I had a year on it, and the tax jumped up $700.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy? The escrows, because taxes and insurance went up, but I was still okay because I had we had that $109,000.
Man, that's so golden. The whole point of why you want to, you're not just getting the 450 cash flow minimum on these properties to make sure you're set. I mean, there's people who are doing. For a 400K home, they're doing 400K, and they're doing no cash flow, and there's no equity, there's no nothing, there's no cash flow. When a happens, now they're in the negatives. So you're not just doing it so that way you can make sure that you're making so much money per door, and you can count it up and all these things. You're also being pretty conservative about your asset, right?
These boats are going by too fast and banging the hell out of these boats. Sorry about that. That's what happened. The boat actually that was sitting here before. Yeah, what was actually happened? The boat that was sitting there, a big yacht went by, threw it up against the side, and just smashed the whole entire window.
Serious?
Yeah, it happened. It is what it is. But anyways.
Wow.
Yeah. We didn't know about it. We had to pull it up on camera to see what happened. But yeah, what about you? What do you do when you're underwriting on the commercial world? What are you looking at right now?
So commercial world is really by asset class, right? And so whenever I have someone going and say, hey, what do you think? Like yesterday I had someone go, hey, what do you think about the price per foot in this certain area of town? And I'm like, well, how do I know what type of asset it is? What is the price per foot? Like, you know, is this a industrial warehouse, or is this a multifamily? Is this retail shopping center? Is this a high-end area? Is this an A, C, or A, B, C, D class? Like, where's the class at with this? And so if you compare, for those who are looking to do more commercial and want to get involved, as you probably already know, we run the commercial professionals, and so we see deals all the time in the commercial space. We list a bunch of deals all over Texas, and one of the things that people ask is just they're thinking that it's a normal blanket, like a residential. Well, the thing to look at is you're just comparing neighborhoods together. Somehow you have a high, medium, low neighborhood, all right, and those are your asset, like the classes A, B, C, D, as far as like, you know, where they're at there. So you just kind of look at that and say, okay, well, this neighborhood, those houses go for 1 million, this neighborhood's 400, and this neighborhood's 250, right?
Okay, yep.
Now, there's that kind of thing when you look at it. The other thing to look at is you have to do apples to apples. So what type of asset itself? So commercial real estate we have 8 different classes, 10 different classes. So you have storage, mobile home parks, RV parks, office, retail, shopping centers. You have
senior living facilities.
Senior living. We have industrial warehouse, industrial flex. So we have leases of all sorts. So a wide variety of stuff that you have to dig into. So that's why people, like, whenever you guys look at some of these, like when you look at underwriting, you want to get involved in the commercial. That's why they say, hey, only find a few asset classes that you want to be good at, because you can't be great at all of them. It's really impossible. One of the things that Mark was doing and I was in the beginning, we were talking about land and buying land and developing land, which just gave us all the knowledge and education. You have 4 mobile home parks now. I have mobile home parks. I've sold some mobile. So I've learned a lot in that space. You've learned a lot about how the moving and flowing of that goes into other types of development and other types of things. So I don't know many people, Mark, that find an asset class that they really enjoy from like day one. You know, they go, okay, you know what, maybe this isn't for me, but I really like it. What else is there? Oh, there's I really like storage so much better. Okay, cool, I'll do storage.
It's shiny object syndrome. That's where most people get stuck into.
Yeah, and you got to find what works for you too, right? Like some people don't want to be working with the multi-tenant, but the idea, everybody wants a multi-family building of 24 to 150 units and all this stuff, and the reality is they might turn in and say, this is not for me. I don't enjoy any of this. I was expecting to be a little bit more hands-off. So
it's true. We all been there. We all go through it.
So so these are things that I look at when it comes to first diving into commercial. Is like, 1, what is the type of asset that you're looking for? And then 2, what is the range that you're looking at? So what A, B, C, and D. And then also the size and the type of the capital that you're going to put to work. I like to say between 1 to 3, 1 to 5 million is smaller individual investors, guys like you and me. We get up to the 15s, but realistically you're going to be using your cash or use someone else's cash or a 1031. Between 3 and 10, you're definitely working in that space. A lot of 1031s, some funds that are operating in that space. People are working with funds, or syndications for sure. Insurance is operating in that place. And then once you get past 10 million, you're looking at institutional money for sure. Someone's putting, because you're going to put down, if it's $20 million property, you're going to put down some capital, you're going to have some financing that's in there. It might be some second tier debt, some mezzanine debt that's on there. So these are the reason why this is important for doing your underwriting. Is you could be underwriting a property that you'll never acquire. You're spending all your time working on something, and we see that where you have a student, or we have someone who's like, oh, I was doing this stuff for the last month. Well, you would never buy something like that. So let's not spend our time working on those things. Let's find your niche that you're good at doing.
Now, let me ask you another question. Because of the higher interest rates, a lot of your deals, are they having a problem penciling out because of the interest rates?
I think I'm seeing a lot of buyers that are saying this thing just doesn't pencil at this number.
Yep.
And so what I see happening is that they're looking for more interest-only debt for the next 2 to 3 years.
Makes sense.
So if they can get rid of IO debt, so the interest-only debt, for those who are wondering, the interest-only basically just means that it's not amortized over whatever 20 or 30 years, so you're not including the principal, so it's just interest. And you might be saying, well, I'm not really getting anything paid down, and I don't know, we talk about that sometimes. Yep. What is your view on that whenever someone comes back and says, well, I'm not, these first 2 years, I'm not paying anything down? Well, you're not doing it anyways.
True. Yeah, it's true. I mean, because it really, if you look at an amortization schedule, it really doesn't start coming down until about the 10th year. Maybe year 7, it comes down a little, but really the cutoff is really around year 10. How about what I'm seeing on a residential, we're doing what's called a lot of sandwich lease options when the numbers don't work.
Okay.
Are you starting to see master lease options or master leases in the commercial world yet?
We're not seeing as much master leases. I don't see that much. I see a few, but I don't see anything that's really huge.
Like, because what's happening is that it's not penciling out, the PITI. Like, I was just underwriting a deal with one of my students. The property was in Orlando, and the PITI was $700 more than what the market rent is. So it didn't make sense to do it that way. So what we did is we presented a lease option on it.
Okay.
So a rent to own. So what we do is we go into contract with the seller. So in this case is we went $200 below the market rent. Actually $250. We went $250 below the market rent. Locked it in. It was a 30-month contract with an option to extend it 2 extra years, 24 months.
Okay, so it's basically a lease.
Yep, with the option.
With the owner.
The option we lock into a certain price, and it allows me to sublet it, and then I go ahead and put my tenant buyer or rental, whatever you want to put in. You do an Airbnb, whatever you want to do with it. But usually what I do is I'll go ahead and put a tenant buyer in it that will eventually become the homeowner of that property. That's how I usually structure it. And then I went and marked it. So I go $200 to $250 below the market rent, and then I go $250 above the market rent to my buyer, so I'm cash flowing $500 a month on that.
Got it.
And I lock it in to that price, and then usually I add 10% to it to my end buyer, based off of depending on the term
Got it.
That's how I usually do. And then they're usually putting and they're putting like 5% down. And then I use their money to buy the property and get into a deal. I did a deal, I can send a video or post it, like I locked it for $100, and I ended up making $50,000 on that deal, $50,300, just on that type of strategy, and I didn't even put my own money down on that deal. $100 to lock it up. And I use, because I tell them, once I take possession, here's $100, so the contract is committed. Hopefully you guys can hear us okay. It's loud back here with the boats and stuff going by. So, and then I locked it up and said, once I take possession of the property, I'll give you the remaining balance. And then what I did is I go in front of my buyer, he gave me the money, and then I use that money to go ahead and give to my seller.
Got it.
So.
Man, I like it. Yeah, and so and you're putting that in, that's part of the underwriting process. Like,
oh yeah.
You're doing
100%.
All the numbers and you're running it all through. You have a team that does that, or most of your students and you already do this by now.
Even my admins, my BAs. So it's just, they plug in the input numbers, and then we look at the output numbers. Like, is it a seller financing? If I buy it seller financing, if I'm selling a lease option, is it a rental if I hold it? Or is it a sandwich lease option? Or is it a cash deal? So we just look at it, and we look at where it makes sense. And it's just one big snapshot real quick on it. So,
got it.
Yeah, so anyways. But that's how I look at underwriting in the commercial world. I mean, it's just...
It really bases everything, like, look, the whole point of commercial, guys, is for you to either, if you're gonna buy for yourself, it needs the cash flow for sure. It's every bit of a large investment. It's based off of the NOI. It's not based off of one day this is gonna have crazy value, or one day this is gonna be awesome. If you're gonna do something like that, you could largely get hurt, especially if you're newer to the space. Because some of these things they're big, they're $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, way bigger than a $300,000, $400,000.
What do you recommend where somebody starts off if they're getting into commercial and they're new at it? What asset class and what amount do you think they should be so they don't get hurt, if that makes sense?
That's a good question. I think a lot of people like to start off with the multifamily because they can see it with their eyes. They can understand it. Everyone lives in a house. It all makes sense. 8 to 24 units. Get them going, realize what it costs to buy the property, the maintenance, the fees, the roofing, the AC, who's going to take care of the power, the utilities, individually metered or not, all these things. So that would help you understand a lot more of how that works. Now, I think where people miss most of it, Mark, is not understanding how the NOI works, the net operating income, and then the big ticket items that need to be on a P&L report while they're underwriting.
Right.
You know, and I think so we should go over that actually of say, hey, what kind of big ticket items are we looking for whenever we see an asset? I can breeze through it pretty darn quick of going, okay, it doesn't have the maintenance fees on here, right? And then you're going through, okay, you're selling at this price, you're saying that it's a 9.5 cap, but there's no maintenance fees. Who's doing the maintenance of this property?
You see that all the time.
Yeah.
What do you normally take, 50% when you're looking at a deal immediately of expenses? So whatever the income is, because I know a lot of people just do a quick back of the napkin.
Yeah, you could do that. It all depends. Like on industrial or on storage, we're probably at 30-35% just off the top.
Okay.
Right, whatever's coming in. Is that guy fishing? Yeah, it looks like he's about to fish.
Yep. Hopefully you guys can hear us with boats and a lot of music.
This mic is really
These mics are pretty good, so they should keep it, but it's quiet actually.
Nice boat right there.
That one?
Yeah.
Yep. Beautiful boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of fishers, kids out drinking.
Yeah, so we have that. So here's the big ones for me. So in the residential, it's like, what's the roof, the HVAC, the plumbing, the electrical, the foundation. Those are the big ones. Well, in commercial space, when you're looking at that, you're not just looking at the building itself, you're looking at the P&L. What's the maintenance fee on there? What is the management fee? And that's a key thing because a lot of people do self-management. They don't add that onto that P&L. So what's the how much is going out? So we looked at a property that has 192 units and the monthly maintenance on the thing was like $4,000. And I was like, that doesn't line up at all. So, we're
so what happened?
Units.
Did you find out the results or what was the issue?
No, we're actually working on it right now. So I was
just hiding the numbers.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, where else is going on? So you have that, you have management.
And that's where people get hurt. They don't know what they don't know. Yeah. And that's one of the things, like, so if you're new at it, you definitely want to understand the P&L inside and out, like you're saying. Because I can't tell you, like, some people wouldn't even, it's only $4,000, okay, but they don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they get into it. The other thing is insurance and taxes. Like as long as those are, so they don't always put that on there. And then here's the other part, while you're doing the underwriting, you just keep in mind that if there is, you're looking at an OM or you're looking at someone's P&L over that asset, they're not adding in the bank debt or the debt service or any of that. That's not part of the NOI. Because if you pay for it cash, then it's a different return than if you were to pay for it using other type of bank debt. So you can look at that P&L and see if they have that on there or not. Majority of the time they don't because it would lower that NOI looking and it would also lower what it would look like or lower their cap rate. So, and everyone likes to see a higher cap rate whenever they're purchasing a property. So those are some of the things that I think that people make a mistake on as far as when they're doing underwriting of property.
So yeah, the insurance is still crazy.
Yeah, the insurance is crazy. As far as seller financing goes in the commercial, it's really normal. Anything that's creative in commercial is not taboo, right? It's somewhat successful or creative or people kind of look for other options besides just moving it into another, like a debt financing or whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. If you notice, I've been moving away from using the word creative. I've been using more seller financing because within seller financing, there's several different strategies.
Yeah.
Because creative is starting to get a bad word out there, bad name, because there's been people out there pushing creative, and now people, when they hear creative, realtors, when they hear the word creative, they're instantly goes up. So I don't know if you've been seeing that too.
Yeah, I've been seeing that. That makes sense. I like that. Yeah, so let's not use that anymore. All right, cool. So we have the current market. We have where we are, residential. Like I said, I still think, I'm kind of asking you at the same time, I still think that the need is still there for the sellers and they definitely see that they're like more open to it in this market.
Well, the bottom line is if you're going to do a seller financing with a seller, residential, commercial, whatever it is, you have to think of it like this. It's a marriage. You're going to be in a contract with these people 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, 30, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So the first time you're having these conversations with sellers, doesn't matter residential, commercial, you have to think of it. Think about it like when you met your spouse the first time or your significant other or whatever, whoever you're dating. The first time you sat down, you met with them, you're getting to know each other. So 80% of the conversation is you want to get to know each other because they're going to do business with you because they like you versus, the numbers are all going to come in play. Everybody's going to be doing it, but they're going to do business with you. So you got to get to know them and pull out the motivation. Why are they selling? what do they need? What do they need to do with that capital? Try to figure out a solution to help out. But a lot of times these people, they might be tired landlords, commercial, residential, and they just they like that passive income coming in, and they also can offset the capital gains.
Yeah, I think the capital gain side is something that is becoming really well known, or more enticing for the people who want to do seller financing. Definitely on the commercial side of them saying, well, I could either walk away with $2 million, and pay 33% in taxes on this thing, or who knows what, 25%, whatever, and just pay that, or I can do some type of structure. We share with them and educate them. I mean, guys, we know attorneys and people that are kind of in the business, mortgage people, that still are not fully aware of the different options that are possible, and just the cost and the penalty of just selling flat out cash. It's not as enticing as you think.
And a 1031 is, you could do it, but it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And then you got to try to find the right deal. I mean, it's hard to find a good deal right now because the numbers oftentimes don't make sense because of the rates, that type of situation. And then, again, we talked about the taxes, insurance. So it's challenging. So, like you said, that's why I think seller financing and then becoming the bank is a great solution for everybody. They can make more money. And what I like to do is I like to do an amortization schedule, show them how much money they'll make. Hey, you become the bank over 5 years, this is how much money you make. Over 7 years, this is how much money you make.
Right.
10 years, this is how much money you make. Show that on paper to them. And because a lot of times you say something, somebody's gonna.
It's hard for them to see if they don't have a 10B2 calculator, or they don't know how to structure it or whatnot. It's hard to see. We're doing it in the car on the way here. I was like, okay, hold on, what's that? And we were kind of running through numbers. Okay, cool. This is the right here. This is the numbers. This is what I'm paying. That's a good point. We have a property that I'm thinking about right now that I'm going to start doing. I need to get a hold of them and just kind of explain to them a little bit more, because they were asking for details, and that's probably $1.5 million property. And what's really cool, guys, is that this property, they're also willing to drop the price the whole reason why they had it so high and they can't sell it is because they're thinking, hey, look, I need to have this much money for my capital gains. And the broker fee and this fee and all these other fees, and that they're only going to walk away with so much. And so that's kind of a really cool thing. So what happens is now I could come in lower than they're asking, something that's aggressive that works for me, and then also let them know, hey, you're going to be making money over time. You'll actually make more money than if you were to just do it this way. Especially because, if you add in that, you add in the taxes, you add in everything else, they really make out over time.
Again, you got to listen. What's the problem? Like, the problem. The problem is the capital gains. How do you come up with a solution? Do you know what they want to do with the capital?
Yeah, they're looking at retiring, and they're just going to go place it. So they're okay for that. That'd be fine.
So if they want to retire, that's like another Social Security check.
Yeah,
that's really what it is.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah. So guys, this is what we see happening right now, at least for the next half a year, all the way to mid-year. We see these things happening unless the market just changes something.
You never know.
Happen from what we've seen the last couple of weeks.
With new administration coming in, you don't know, and this is what we all have to take a step back, and we invest bases off of administration policies. Mm-hmm. Like the last policies, the last administration, their policies, Section 8 was great. They were throwing so much money at Section 8. Like, they gave me to redo a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 875 square foot. They stroked me a check for $35,000, and I didn't have to pay it back if I held it for 5 years.
Nice.
I had to put somebody in it. This administration probably is not going to be like that. Yeah. They're going to tighten the belt up, which we need to. That's why the deficit is out of control, because they're just throwing money around like that. So just sit back and watch. But I agree with you. I think we're not going to know really anything until probably mid-year to see really what's going to happen. But I like this market. It's a great market.
Yeah.
Opportunities.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. We'll do another one, and we'll talk to you later.
Take care, guys.